Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka Billy Indiana. Today I'm going to be making my top 10 list of games that I expect to receive in 2023, games that I've either pre-ordered or backed on different crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter, Gamefound, or Backerkit. So if you're curious to see the games I'm most anticipating receiving this year, stay tuned. And before I dig into the top 10 and reveal the top 10 games, I do want to comment that down below I've got the other 30 games roughly that I've backed over the last 4 years that many of them I think should be arriving in this year. So I could get a flood of Kickstarter games, some of them from 2019. So will be interesting to see how many of these actually show up. The top 10 I'm pretty certain will make it in 2023. Some of the others on the list might not, but they're all down below in the description if you want to see some of the other games I've backed. And I'd love to read in the comments down below too, what are the ones that you've backed through any of these different crowdfunding sites, or maybe that you've pre-ordered that you're really excited about. The second thing I want to mention is World Series of Board Gaming. I'm really blessed by the opportunity to go there this last September, hoping to go for at least part of the time this coming September. Had a great time, made a video. I'll try to remember to link it here above so you can see some more details about my experiences there. If you are interested in going in September 2023, you should check out their website. I have the link down below in the description. I also have a referral code, so if you decide you want to go, you can use the referral code to get a discount if you decide to attend. And hopefully I'll be there for part of the time and could actually meet you in person if that works out. All right, without further ado, let's get to the top 10. The number 10 is Trailblazer, the John Weir Trail. And again, apologize for my cold flu sounding voice here. Hopefully it doesn't bother you too much. But this is a game that drew me in for a number of reasons. One, I live in California and the John Weir Trail is right here in our state. I've been to Yosemite multiple times and that's part of the John Weir Trail, or at least the John Weir Trail is partly in the Yosemite Park. And the art is by Andrew Bosley. This game is designed by Dan Rice, and it's got a relatively short, or can have a relatively short playtime. It also has some really cool maps, the map of the trail here, and then down below this elevation map. And it's got this sort of resource management set collection combination that I really enjoy. And just the connection, I think, to the history and kind of the rationale for why they wanted to make this game. Here, the great-granddaughter of John Weir says, Trailblazer, the John Weir Trail is calling all the great Weir-minded generations of today and future to play this amazing visual and educational board game. The artwork alone as backpackers embark on their journey is stunning. I can't wait to play Trailblazer with my family. So there just seems to be like a nice vibe, a nice rationale for why this game came into existence. And the art by Andrew Bosley is just terrific. It reminds me of parks or trekking the national parks. Got great quality components. And like I said, that whole resource management set collection, it's in some ways kind of a race, but it's not necessarily the person that wins that gets to the end of the trail first, but you have to get to the end of the trail to be eligible to win. So you got these different skills you're going to be building, you got these different trail markers that are going to guide your path along the trail. So really, Johnny Pack mentions he's very interested. I think John D. Clare might have done the solo version, if I remember right. It was up there at the top. But yeah, lots of great mention of this game by a bunch of different content creators, and I watched a couple playthroughs, and just seeing that combination of the movement on the trail and the card play and how to use the resources, when to use the resources, collecting the different sets. It did remind me, like I said, of Parks, another game that I really enjoy. And also just, had its own flair, though, as well. So this is a game that I'm very much looking forward to. We can see, John D. Clare making this Robo-Hiker solo mode. So curious to try that out. Although I have found that I tend to not play games solo as much as I thought I would when I first got into the hobby. I'll mention that again on another game that's on this top 10 list. But overall, Trailblazer, the John Weir Trail. This is one of the videos I watched by Board Game Master. And then another one down here, I think, by Antlab Games that I checked out. Yeah, here we go. So, yeah, really looking forward to it. Looks beautiful. I think the theming is terrific. And I tend to like resource management set collection games. So this one is number 10 in my most anticipated crowdfunding games that I anticipate receiving this year. And actually, I think pretty soon for this one. Buru is one that caught my attention right away because it's a Euro-style game, which is kind of right in my alley. And it also has the ability to play solo. So again, I'm not sure that that's critical for me anymore the more I get into gaming, but it's still a nice advantage. But the real thing is that it's got a real kind of a lore that's steeped in Indonesian history. And I lived in Indonesia for 12 years, so that kind of caught my attention. I think the art and the components, again, are beautiful, so that's a nice draw. And it also just feels like Indonesia. They had some cultural consultants that helped them make sure the art had that connection. And to me, having lived there for so long, I really agree that it does. Let's scroll down here, and there's the stretch goals and all these things are interesting while the campaign is going on. But here, another comment by Johnny Pack. I highly recommend checking this game out. Brewer is one of the best blind bidding games ever, in my opinion. And that's one of the things that attracted me. It kind of reminded me of Rurik in the bidding in terms of the scaling. And I think another game I haven't played yet, trying to remember the name of it. It also has a circular board. War of Whispers, I think, also has something similar to that, but I haven't played it yet. So this circular board is pretty interesting, and you got these 4 areas where you can go to take your actions, but you're bidding on the order that you're going to take the action and the power of the action that you take. It calls it a light to midweight Euro. It's developed by Stephen Wren and published by Crafty Games. So they talk about featuring competitive bidding, action selection, engine building, and objective fulfillment. But just this imagery here is so reminiscent to me of my experience in Indonesia. So here's the bidding aspect. You've got these 5 explorers that are numbered. And you're going to put them out in each of the regions. And so the person who bid 5 here is going to get first choice in this region. And the different regions have different functions. So if you go to the forest, for instance, you're going to be claiming resource cards that'll help you in your resource management. If you go to the shore, you're going to be acquiring islander cards and helping build your tableau and your engine. And then if you get those islanders, and then you can trigger their abilities by going to another region. So it's just a really interesting interwoven. You've got to choose, okay, I really need to do this action, so you need to bid high for this one because I really need that card. I can't let anybody else take it. This one, I want to do that action, but it doesn't really matter if I go first, second, or third. So you're trying to decide how you bid. You can actually put multiple tiles in each region too if you really want to try to solidify your opportunity to take over kind of the first choice of what action you get in that area. So that is Buru, and there's expansions and all kinds of things that come with the Kickstarter version that I'm also excited about. I think this one's maybe not coming quite as soon as Trailblazer from the things that I'm seeing, but it should still come, I think, before summer. And so very excited about this one. I don't know if late pledges are still available or not, but this is number 9 in my top 10. Number 8, To Breeze by Crafty Games. This is by the creator of Cascadia, Randy Flynn. And it is, when I first saw it, it kind of reminded me of Istanbul. And I think partly, I don't know, a little bit of the aesthetic and the moving around kind of made me think of that. But you're trying to become the most famous carpet weaver in this Persian market of Tabriz. And here it talks a little about the team. So there's Randy Flynn, the creator, again, creator of Cascadia, illustrated by Sid Feeney, I'm not sure how I pronounce it. They've got the solo mode developed by this team. They had some cultural consultation, which I think is always great. It's going to be available in a lot of languages. We'll scroll down through some of this Kickstarter thing, information about all the add-ons and stuff, and get down here to where it talks a little bit more about the gameplay. All right, so you're a master carpet weaver in this grand bazaar, and you're going to be moving your workers, but each worker or each apprentice has a limited amount of movement, and you're trying to get to certain areas because there's different workshops and markets and places you can trade and barter and to gain the resources and materials you need to then complete commissions. And so you're having to decide where you're moving those apprentices and sometimes racing for the different resources with the other players who might get there before you. And the materials are limited, so you're trying again to time when you go to beat other players in certain situations. And the skills that you develop also progress through the game. So you're kind of upping your ability of your apprentices to become better and better at their jobs. And the commissions also become more and more valuable as you work through the game. So you might be able to fulfill some pretty simple commissions early in the game. And then as your abilities unlock and your skills improve, then you might be able to satisfy some of those larger commissions as the game goes on. And so the Weaver, who has the highest prestige at the end of the game, wins. And then there's an advanced workshop mode that you can use. There's a solo mode that you can use. And Tim Chuen is the one who made one of the primary videos for this, but he says it's a golden worker placement game. I loved exploring all the different market combinations, competing for resources, and my favorite aspect, leveling up your craft as you go. I love the multiple opponents options for solo mode, and with such a refreshing theme, it makes me so amped to play the final version. So, and yeah, he mentions the multiple options for solo mode. Another game that has that I've recently been playing, Oros, has 4 different AI to give you a little bit different feel each time you play solo, and that's integrated into this game to Breeze as well. So that is my number 8. Number 7, the Isofarian Guard, and I think a year ago it was my top game, or one of my top games in terms of anticipated, but I think I backed this in 2019, and so it's been a long time coming. And so it slid down my list a little bit for that reason. Another reason is it's a 1 and 2 player game, and I thought initially I would probably just play it solo because it doesn't look thematically like a game my wife would be as interested in. And as I mentioned a couple times now, I've found that I am less motivated to play solo than I thought I would be. If I'm going to play solo, I usually just play one of the games I own on Steam rather than pulling out a board game and just for myself. But if I'm going to play with a friend or with my game group, I'm more than happy to set it all up and get it all set out. So I don't know that I'll play solo, and so this was slid a little bit for that reason too. I'm still very excited about it. I watched Alex from BoardGameCo, the recent unboxing that he had with Eric from I always forget the name of this company. There's so many companies with stone. This is Sky Kingdom. Stonebound is the kind of magical stones that are in this land of Isofar. But there are some really cool things that I'm looking forward to. So it's still in my top 10, and I'm still very excited to receive it. It is enormous. If you watch that unboxing, and I think Alex also with Professor Meg and Eric have a nice little playthrough of a boss battle too, so you can kind of see how it goes. But there's this massive map. It's actually 2-sided, and all of these little areas here that are labeled have pull-out maps as well, so you can kind of zoom in and have other adventures. And there's over 300 hours of story in this, and it uses the Foreteller app if you want to have that story, at least the major storylines, read and have sound effects and such. You play through this as kind of a campaign where each campaign in the initial settings, you're going to be 2 different characters, and then the next part of the campaign, different characters. And I think it's the 5th one, you get to choose which characters, and they, let me scroll back up here. These, you can see how they're paired, so it's like, I don't know which of these is which, but like campaign 1, campaign 2, 3, and 4, but they've designed these so that the players actually can come out of the base. So if you want to, I think, switch them up, that's a possibility. And for sure, if you want to paint them, you can pull them out of the base and paint them a little more easily than having them back to back here. But it has the same kind of chips that Chip Theory Games uses. And it's got a bag building, bag drawing, card tableau building, character development kind of deal going on. Man vs. Mabel says the game is going to recreate things like the video game Skyrim or old video game RPGs in tabletop fashion. And it very much feels like video game style. The box that it comes in is enormous. Again, you can check out that unboxing I mentioned. And I think this will be delivering around April or March, maybe May, depending on shipping issues that we all know exist, but that was from the unboxing. I saw Eric send something like that. So I'm hoping it comes in time for our April spring break, because then it'd be fun to try to play that. So you're going to be gaining these materials and developing your skills, developing your resources. So you might, have this Zephyr tunic, and then later you're going to get a new sword or a new shield, and it all kind of plays out both as cards and as chips that go into your bag to help you as you're going through different challenges throughout the game. And the narrative on Foreteller has great sound effects, has voice acting. It's not just someone reading a story, but actually voice acting of the characters. So I think it's going to be just a terrific story. Yeah, my only thing that's holding it back and kind of made it drop down from being number 1 is I just don't know if I'll get it to the table as much as I thought I would. It is enormous, and it takes up a huge amount of table space. And so it'd be best if I could just leave it out. But I only have the one table where my wife and I play, and then this table where I do all my filming, so I'm not sure how practical that's going to be. So I'm still very excited about it, and the ingenuity of this game in 2019 or 2020 when it first was launched was way above anything else. Now I think a lot of other companies are doing similar things, and so maybe it doesn't feel also quite as over the edge or groundbreaking, but I'm still very excited about the exploration narrative feature of it, the open world aspect of it, and just the storyline sounds really cool. And here it says span over 30 hours of gameplay, but there's been so much expansion of this during the Kickstarter and since, and that's part of the reason why it's taken so long to bring it to fruition. In the video that I watched yesterday, Eric from Sky Kingdom said it's about 300 hours if you do all of the side quests and everything as well. So more time than I think most of us can think about investing in a game like this, unless it was your lifestyle game. So Isofarian Guard, one that I have been excited about for years and still am. And yeah, hoping to receive it here in the next couple months. Next up, Bantam West. This is another one that I've been excited about for a couple of years, and another one that's just grown as the Kickstarter was live, and even since then. And I had a chance to play with Ike Brunicardi online from Bantam Planet and a couple other people. It was a really terrific online experience for me. In this game, you're playing as one of these characters here, and you're in this land, Delpham, I think it's called. We'll see it down here. And you're kind of exploring the land. It's an open range. There's so many things you can do. And I had such a fun time. It felt like I became a cowboy when I was playing the online version. I went out and I was, trying to get my own food. I was trying to get rid of wolves that were in the area. I was trying to find shelter. I got into a bar fight. There's just all kinds of things that was really, really fun. It had a unique style of play. The Delpham Frontier. And just talking with Ike and seeing the things that they've been putting out since the Kickstarter about building out the world, and hearing him talk when we were online about making the field guide and everything kind of reflect his experience in the military, but in this sort of fictional Bantam Planet, Delpham Frontier. Really sounds like he's just investing. This is a passion project for him for sure. And I just am really excited to finally get it to the table. I also know that he and Tim Chuen are working right now to develop a live, kind of live action playthrough style of video where they're going to have actors and all kinds of things. It sounds like it's going to be terrific, where they teach you how to play the game. So again, like I said, you're playing as one of four of these strangers in this land. Each one has varied goals and abilities, so there's that asymmetry there. You're going to be exploring the wilderness. So you've got these maps, and you got the central town, and you can go out into all these areas around this central town and explore. And as you're going out, or even before you go out, you may want to purchase different equipment and weapons. You might want to hire some people to work for you. You might need to get a horse, all these different kinds of decisions to make. And then you're going to be engaging and reacting with the wilderness, with other characters. You might build a building, and then someone comes and sets it on fire. You might build a building, and they break in and steal what you had there. Or you might be the one that breaks in and steals. It's just so open-ended. And you have the ability to play really aggressive. You have the ability not to play really aggressive. You're going to be cultivating the land. Like I said, you could build a home. You can raise livestock. It just seems like everything you can imagine is possible. And as I mentioned before, you can recruit riders to join you in, and you can hunt down beasts and then earn rewards for that. So many things. There's going to be events that come up. There's objectives you're trying to accomplish. You're basically trying to survive, and you've got all kinds of things through the events that can come up. So they talk about having action points as it's your turn, point-to-point movement, dice rolling, modular board with double-sided features, variable player powers, and you're using deck building and hand management in your battles and your exploration, and in trying to accomplish those skills and challenges that you face. So this is one that I'm super excited about. Having played it, I just had so much fun. Like I said, I felt like I was a cowboy in this crazy land, and I never knew it was going to happen. And yet it didn't feel out of control. It felt adventurous. And so I'm very excited for this one. So many cool features. And this one, let's see, we got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Number 6 in my top 10 most anticipated games. I think this is probably going to be later in the year. So I'm hoping it will come in 2023, but I think it's probably going to be more like summer or maybe early fall. Next up, number 5. This was recently announced, and this one just edged out Isofarian Guard of Bantam Planet. Might be because I love scythes so much. And as I learn more and more about the game and see reviews and see playthroughs, we'll see if it stays in this 5 spot. I could see it potentially slipping below Bantam and Isofarian Guard because those games are ones I'm really excited about. But for now, I'm slotting it at number 5 because I do love Scythe so much. Now, this is not an expansion for Scythe. This is a standalone sequel. And it's a competitive card-driven tile exploration engine building game where you're basically playing as a massive mech on the board, and there's this massive meteorite that has struck in Siberia and unleashed corruption in the land, and you're trying to get rid of the corruption as you explore. It's art by Jakub, I forget how you say his last name, Jakub Rozalski. And this one actually was developed by Jamie Stegmaier. A few of the games have been, in recent years, have been published by Stonemaier, but not necessarily fully developed and created by Jamie. But this one you can see, here's the Scythe mechs, and then here are the Expedition mechs, just massive. But your mech is traveling out, exploring tiles. And so when you first start out, see if I can get down here, you're going to have these tiles, a lot of them face down. And up in the northern Siberia, you're going to have these corruption tiles you're trying to remove. And you're moving your mech along, and you have a character and also their animal companion. And unlike inside, the animal companion actually has its own card with its own features, its own strengths and actions. And you're going to be using those cards. And it's interesting, the mech board here, this mech board is kind of like your individual player board. You're going to be tucking cards on various sides of that board depending on how you're using it. So the multi-use card feature is really interesting to me. So you're going to have your core hand of cards. You're managing that tableau of cards and that hand of cards. And you're going to be moving your mech around, exploring. You flip over the tiles when you explore. You're putting your workers on the cards to then take advantage of the features on those cards. And then, like I said, you're going to be tucking some underneath your board to sort of build your engine. There's also a solo mode for this, as is pretty traditional. And so the only thing I've really seen so far is this real quick summary with 4 quick turns by Jamie. And so there's not a lot out there yet. It's just starting production, so it's a little bit unusual for Stonemaier to go that route with more of a true pre-order. I think it should deliver sometime this summer. It says expected shipping in July. So hoping it gets here for my birthday in July. So that is number 5, Expeditions by Stonemaier Games. Sorry, throat's starting to get a little sticky here. Hopefully I can make it through these top 4. All right, number 4 is Delta. Delta is by game brewer Franz Kuderk and Nastya Lane are the developer, creator, and artist for this game. And this one, when I first saw the picture, I thought, ooh, kind of looks like Indiana Jones. And then the more I dug into it, I thought it's more like a steampunk Indiana Jones, which, again, honestly kind of turned me off. I've never really been into the whole steampunk thing, but as I looked at the gameplay for this one, it really caught my attention, kind of the interwovenness of the mechanisms. So it says, come and delve in this steampunk adventure where you will explore the mechanimals in the Camargo Delta. So the board is divided into 3 parts. You got your research area over here on the right. You got the map of the Delta in the middle where you're exploring. And then you've got the workshop over here where you're advancing your technologies, you're determining player order, and determining how you're going to pick your team. And Rado says, we absolutely fell in love with this game halfway through our first play. Love the presentation, love the design, love the speed. Perfect depth for me and Jen. And what I found is typically the games that they love in terms of depth, those are also kind of right where I like to be. And a lot of other great ones here from Brody at Meeple Mountain, Ilya and Tyler at Cavre, Lance and Jeremy at Hard to Master. But let's go ahead and scroll down past some of the regular Kickstarter things. You can see that the art and components does look really nice, so that's cool. But here is kind of the general flow of how you play. So you're going to be picking your team of explorers, scientists, and engineers each round, and they all have different abilities. And then you're going to be placing them in one of the 3 areas to do their jobs, basically. And in each of those areas, like I said, you're going to have the workshop area over here on the left, where you're trying to improve your technology and your engineering skills. It's going to determine player order, which means that's going to help you determine which engineers and scientists you're going to be picking in the next round. If you go to the map, you're going to be paying crystals to travel out on this map, and sometimes you might need special equipment to travel certain distances or over water, and there's going to be things out here you can discover, resources you can gain, and you're also going to be gaining victory points as you go and other different bonuses. And then for playing in the research area, you're trying to understand these mechanimals, and that's where the whole steampunk kind of thing, I wish it was just animals personally, but I don't think it matters in terms of gameplay. These are mechanical animals, turtles, flamingos, horses, and bulls. And you're going to have to sacrifice the players you've chosen, the cards you've chosen, in order to do the research and publish your findings. And when you publish your findings, you're gaining other bonuses and victory points and things. And then at the end of the round, based on how you've managed player order, you're going to then pick out your next scientists and researchers, and engineers. So really interesting interweaving of the three sections. You have to do things in all sections really to be effective, but sometimes during the game you may need to really focus on the workshop. Other times you might need to really focus on research. Other times you might really need to focus on exploring. So that's Delta. It looks like a really fun Euro-style game where very puzzly, trying to figure out how you can maximize your turns. And also a little bit of not really bidding, but vying for turn order in a way that when you know you need to go early or when you don't really need to go early. I love all those decisions, and so I'm very excited for Delta. It's number 4 in my top 10 list. Number 3 is Divinus, and this one's by Lucky Duck Games. A clash between Nordic and Greek gods is about to begin. Demigod, this is your chance to ascend and claim a seat among the surviving pantheon. So I love the art of this one, but it's one of the digital hybrid games that Lucky Duck is becoming known for, along with Destiny's Chronicles of Crime. But this one is a campaign legacy style game where you're going to be changing the board, you're going to be changing the dice, you're going to be actually drawing tiles, rolling dice. So let's scroll down. I don't want to go too fast here, but let's read this story, a little flavor text. The ancient Greece is being invaded by the pantheon of Nordic gods who have left their destroyed world in search of new land to rule over. A fierce clash of gods is about to begin, and a new pantheon will be formed from the ashes. The prophet Pythia foresees that one person of great power, a new divinus, will ascend. As a demigod of great renown, you can win the favor of either side and claim your own seat among the gods. So, like I said, it's a digital hybrid game. It's got legacy features. You're going to be putting these tiles out to create the map, and as the game goes on, you're going to be putting stickers on these tiles. You're going to be putting stickers on your character box. You're going to be putting stickers on the dice. So you're leveling things up and changing the game as you go. But in the end, you have an eternal game that you can play forever. There's also, I think, a reset pack that comes with the Kickstarter version. All right, so let's scroll down through some of the Gamefound features here with all the add-ons. And okay, so we got a 12 scenario campaign focusing on this clash between the gods. And every campaign will start with you opening a new scenario box. All right, you can fight for either side. You can go for the Vikings or the Greeks. You can maybe even go back and forth. And then there's also barbarians playing into the mix. So you got to be able to fight off the barbarians. And like I said, it has that eternal mode at the end. So let's see, let's scroll down a little bit more. I think they talk a little bit more about the flow of the game here. So you have these scannable stickers. So like in Chronicles of Crime, you can scan them with the app on your phone, and then it's going to tell you part of the story. It's going to input information and keep track of all the things that you're changing in the game. And you're going to be gaining different artifacts and abilities. You're going to be putting stickers on these boxes. You'll keep all your cards and tokens and things in the box for your character. But you'll be putting stickers on to show the advancement of your abilities and skills. So that's how you'll be tracking that, as well as in the app. And then again, you'll be putting stickers on the dice as well to improve your odds as the game goes on, helping you to fulfill quests and fight monsters and impress the gods. So Divinus, I'm intrigued by the hybrid aspect of the game. I am intrigued by the legacy aspect of the game. I haven't played a lot of legacy games, but I think this one, theme-wise, looks like it would be one that I'll enjoy. And I love dice games, but I also love being able to manipulate the dice. I love tile laying games, but I love the way you can manipulate or change the tiles over as the game plays. So very interested to try Divinus, number 3 on my top 10 list. Number 2 is Earth. This is by Connor McGooey and Inside Up Games. And I'm actually currently playing this on BGA. So this one has climbed up the list because of my experience playing it on BGA. So let me give you a quick overview of the game as we kind of scroll through here. Here's all the components that come with it. And great, beautiful art. Let me scroll down. Okay, here are the Kickstarter things, what you're getting with it. You can see here just a terrific art. But let me get down to the section where it kind of explains. Here we go. So the first step is you're going to be creating your island. So you're going to choose your island card. You're going to choose your climate and your ecosystem. And your island card's basically going to get you started up with your original resources and maybe have an action that will, I'll explain how the action show, but it'll have an action you can use potentially. And then the climate's going to give you kind of special ability actions that are ongoing throughout the game. And then the ecosystem is going to give you sort of in-game scoring, something that you should be focused on. So that's going to go on your board. And you're going to choose your action. So you can see across the top here, you've got this choice. And what's really cool about this one, like some other games, you have your action, which is across the top. but then the other players will play the bottom action. Or it's the other way around, it looks like. Yeah, you play the one across the bottom, and then the other players are going to get a similar, lesser action across the top. So you're always playing. And so that's really exciting that you're going to get to choose, and it is fun to decide which one do I want. And then anytime anyone else is playing, no matter what they pick, you're going to get something usually. All right, and then next thing, you're going to be earning the benefits. So once you've taken that action, if you take a green action, you're going to have, as you've already seen, these cards, which have, like this has a red one, a red stripe across the bottom, that has kind of a blue one, that has brown, this has green. Well, that's end game scoring. But once you've chosen this action, you look in your tableau and on your island to see, do I have any green actions that I can take? Do I have any, if someone uses the red one, do I have any red actions that I can take? And there's also these rainbow cards. And so not only are you taking the action you choose, but you're also going to be able to then use all the matching colored actions that you're developing in your tableau. So it's definitely an engine building kind of game. You're gaining resources, you're going to be gaining soil as a resource, you're going to be composting cards as a resource, you're going to be taking plant cubes as a resource and growth pieces and building your tableau, and you're going to be putting the plant cubes and the growth pieces on that tableau of cards. So here you can see this is where these little green plant cubes go, and these are those yellow actions. So if you take the yellow action as your choice across the top 4 that I mentioned, planting, composting, watering, and growing, then you're going to go through your whole tableau, and if you chose the yellow action, then you're going to be able to do all the yellow actions on your tableau, and you go left to right, top to bottom. So if you have a bunch of yellow actions, you can just have a massive turn where you're getting all kinds of advantages. And then the first person to complete their 4x4 tableau wins. Another thing that happens at the beginning of the game in terms of setup, there is a central board where there are some in-game fauna. And let's see, here we go. You got these 4 fauna cards and these 2 ecosystem cards. And those are all points that are going to be scored at the end of the game, or tasks you can accomplish. The fauna are tasks you can accomplish as you go. So the first one to accomplish this task, for instance, puts one of their tokens here at the top point that earns the most points. And then the next one goes down, down, down. So the sooner you can accomplish these, the more points you're going to get. So there's a little bit of a race for that. And then these ecosystem cards give you in-game scoring. So lots of nice interwoven actions and comboing and sort of multiplying your actions that I really love. And then on those cards too, if we go back up here in your tableau, and let's see if we can get a close-up. Yeah. These circles right here, that's where you're going to put the growth pieces. And there's a limit, depending on the type of plant, on how many growth pieces you can put up. And so at the top, when you get to the top, you're going to be putting the cap. And so this was a plant, like a tree of some sort that could grow really tall. This is some little shrub, and this is just like something on the ground, I guess. And so like a little weed or whatever. So these are the different, and the bigger you stack it, the more points it's worth. And so it's 1 point per piece unless you complete it. And then if you complete it, it's worth the number of points that it says right here. So 4 is the stack max on this one, and 5 is how many points you get. So I'm probably going a little bit too much into the rules of this one, but I want you to get a feel for how interwoven the actions are and how much comboing and multiplying there are in the actions. And it's just a terrific looking game. Even on VGA, the art is really nice. I can't wait to get this one. I think this one's also delivering pretty soon. So excited to get Earth to the table. It's number 2 in my top 10. And number 1, my most anticipated Kickstarter, Gamefound, Backerkit crowdfunding game. This one actually is from Kickstarter, is Unconscious Mind by Fantasia Games. And this one I'm really excited about because it feels like it might be more like a Lacerda-ish game, maybe slightly under the complexity of some of Lacerda's games, but towards that end, which I've really been enjoying lately. And the art by Vincent Dutray and Andrew Bosley, where Vincent Dutray does all the realism art and Andrew Bosley does all the dream art. Just an amazing idea to follow through with that. And then we've got Yoma Zax, Laskas, and Johnny Pack. Those are the designers. And I love the theming too. It's just so interesting about Sigmund Freud and the different psychologists that were working with him in that era, trying to understand the dream world. You got multiple rondels. So let's scroll down here to the bottom part. Well, it's real quick. It's a game that blends worker placement, engine building, action programming, and multiple rondels in interconnected ways that flow into each other, making every turn one that results in a cascading chain of effects. Rado's over the moon about it. Here are all the different ways you can look at it. Jesse from Quackalope's excited about it. More Kickstarter kind of things. Dave from Board Game Dave, really great guy. Check out his channel if you haven't discovered him yet. Also, really loving this game. Amy and Maggie from Thinker Themer. I'm sure many of you know who they are. If this is not Maggie's Game of the Year, I'll fall off my chair. So, lots of people really loving this game. So you start off on this meeting board. You're going to put these little speech bubbles pointing to the action you want to take. And depending on which action you take, then you're also going to move around your personal rondelle. So your ink pot is going to move around this rondelle. And how it moves around that rondelle determines your actions. You can also elevate your insights on this rotating rondelle, this track. You can use dream cards to treat your clients. If you are able to help your client reach catharsis, then you remove the grief layer, which is like this clear card that has this sort of Rorschach design over the top of it. It looks like clouds almost over the top of it. You can play research cards and combine them into treatises. You're going to be moving your character around the board and taking different actions in the city rondelle. You're going to be trying to boost your reputation. And when Freud's reputation reaches the end, it signals the final round. So many different, again, interwoven actions here. And even the creativity. It's Fantasia Games is just doing a great job with their production. Again, it kind of is reminiscent, if you're familiar with Eagle Griffin games, that kind of same level of quality. And so I'm very excited for this one, both because the theme is so unique. I love the idea of all these different rondelles interweaving. You got every choice you make connects to some other choice, some other action. And so you have to really be strategic. So I'm very excited for this one. Unconscious Mind is my #1 game that I backed in crowdfunding and can't wait to receive, hopefully, in 2023. So there you have it. Those are the top 10 games that I backed on Kickstarter, Gamefound, and Backerkit, the ones I'm most excited to receive in 2023. And I have a feeling there's a good chance all 10 will deliver this year, some of them quite soon. Now, I also have a list of about 30 other games down below that you can see, ones that I backed, because it covers a 4-year time span. A lot of them are going to be probably coming this year. There's just been this backlog, and now it's just like this waterfall of games all of a sudden flooding in. So I've listed those below kind of in ranked order so you can see some of the other things I've backed. In the comments below, let me know what are you excited about receiving, things you've backed through one of the crowdfunding or pre-order systems that you are involved with. And if you have any questions about any of the things that I've mentioned in this video, leave them in the comments below as well. If you enjoyed the video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up, and it would be terrific if you choose to subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for watching. This is Billy Indiana, signing off.